Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Shares with Kevin, where we add value to people's lives, happening every day at 12 on com. For our lunchtime marketing segment, our very own resident genius marketing and communications expert, Craig Paisley. Hello, Craig. How are you doing?
I'm well, Kevin. Yeah, great. Excited for today.
Yeah, we have a wonderful special guest, but before we get to our special guest, I'm just going to ask you, don't you want to, are we first introducing and then getting into how are we setting this up today?
Let's do like we usually do the recap and then we jump into the introduction.
All right, fantastic.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
So cut and start.
That recap, we had a really great, interesting conversation last week around a retail customer experience, and you've always put those two conversations together so well for us. So don't you want to give us a bit of a recap on last week and then head us onto where we're going today?
Fantastic. Yeah, Kevin, thanks. Last week was a culmination of sort of three nice consecutive conversations where we really ended up getting to understand the key objectives of ensuring that we deliver some great value in the retail customer experience space. So the four key points that I want to pick up from the conversation last week are from the article published on retailcustomerexperience.com blog, written by Debbie Shotwell, who is the Chief People Officer at Sabre Software. The article is titled 4 Tips to Keep Retail Employees Engaged and Motivated, and highlight those 4 key areas that I really want to land again for our listeners from last week. And the key point here is when retailers get this right, exceptional employee service and experience is delivered, and obviously as a part of positive impact on driving performance and delivering higher ROI. So to jump straight in, the first point is really about let associates in on the bigger picture. And yeah, we spoke about the depth of understanding through an organization to ensure that all levels really get to contribute to and buy into the big picture. So employees throughout the organization want meaning, purpose, and dignity in their work, Kevin. Important not only for workers at a head office level, but hugely important for workers at a store level, because that's where the greatest disengagement happens. So no matter the position in an organization, retail workers want to know what they do at work and how that connects to the larger organization. Linking individual goals to higher level organizational objectives gives those employees context for the work they do and helps them drive employee engagement. Point 2, facilitate social and collaborative learning is a great opportunity here for bringing some tech in. About 75% of both HR leaders and employees feel and believe that the social tools help them collaborate from different locations. And obviously COVID has really brought that to light. But it's more important now than it has been 2 to 3 years ago. And we really need to see more of that being delivered. So the informal collaborative learnings that happens every day amongst colleagues through these platforms is just as valuable as any formal learning program. And retailers can really facilitate this type of learning by creating those social learning communities whereby employees can collaborate, ask questions, and as well as being able to provide instant feedback solutions and gain recognition and the like from peers and managers. And as I mentioned to you, there's some really great organizations in South Africa, particularly in the fuel forecourt environment, that were using this pre-shift, post-shift, bringing people together, utilizing mobile phones, free SMS opportunities, and driving that level of engagement through mobile devices as well. Point 3 is the shift to ongoing performance management. Yeah, this is a really contentious one because performance management is often just seen as the periodic ritual as opposed to an ongoing conversation that uses the feedback and coaching to align and inspire and engage with consumers. But moving into an ongoing approach to performance management where coaching for growth is prioritized over managing for performance. 2 important statements: coaching for growth prioritized over managing for performance. Retailers can better meet the modern workforce's growing demand for real-time feedback. With the help of performance management tech, organizations can put continuous coaching feedback at the heart of their talent management process. They can help managers and employees have an impactful discussion that actually improves performance. And the final point here is embrace a culture of continuous learning. Kevin, by cultivating a culture of continuous learning, organizations can move beyond the simple checking the box exercise when it comes to training, delivering learning experiences that engage employees and translating into better customer experience. Retailers can help develop organizational mindsets that prioritize ongoing employee development by incorporating all aspects of learning and development into the company mission statement and goal-setting process, as well as empowering staff to drive their own development by embracing and facilitating informal self-driven learning. And just to emphasize that last point here as well, if you're not bringing all levels of staff into the conversation from the beginning and letting them feel that they're contributing to the bigger picture, the vision, and defining their own future, they're going to remain disengaged and they're going to move away from your organization. What can employees do? They can help employers can help employees feel like they're part of something more meaningful by implementing strategies, processes, and technology that opens up communication, facilitates real-time feedback, and encourages continuous learning. And those are the key points I want to share from last week, Kevin.
Fantastic. Thank you, Craig. And you mentioned we have a very special guest. Don't you want to sort of intro our special guest?
Yes.
And what we are planning today, because there's some big things happening out there.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks. I'm wanting to welcome Heidi Brauer to the show. Heidi is a long-standing associate of mine in the industry. I've known Heidi for many, many years and really have a lot of respect for the lady, but I'm going to dive into that in a short while. But firstly, the reason I've invited Heidi onto the show is Heidi has been working on this incredible campaign, Big Ads for Small Business, that Hollard Insurance has recently launched. Really important initiative where Hollard is donating a substantial volume of their advertising inventory to small business to give these companies a boost on the back of the hardships that many of them have faced due to COVID pandemic. Heidi, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks. Nice to see you, hear you again, and nice to meet you, Kevin.
And you. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for spending some time with us today. We're really happy to have you join us and look forward to the amazing insights that you're going to be sharing with us.
Yeah,
No
very
pressure,
exciting.
no pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kevin, before diving into the show, I just want to formally introduce our listeners to Heidi, particularly because we've got a lot of listeners that are outside our local environment and the marketing spectrum. So a quick overview of Heidi's career to date. Heidi brings with a pedigree of marketing excellence in South Africa, from being Deputy CEO at Markenor in the mid-90s to being Deputy CEO at Ipsos in the mid-2000s. But for me, this really is where I hold Heidi in high esteem. Through the success in managing Kulula.com's new brand platform, which was developed by the brand union in late 2008 and rolled out through an incredible advertising campaign, which was developed by King James Advertising during that period. And for me, it just brought a freshness, a reverence, and a frivolity to the brand that was hugely important, particularly as there was so much focus in South Africa leading up to and during the FIFA 2010 World Cup. Heidi's actively shaping the marketing efforts and success of Hollard Insurance as we speak right now, and been there for the last 8 years. And Heidi is responsible for the specific campaign that we're going to discuss today. But in closing on Heidi's credentials, just to note that Heidi has sat on a number of industry boards the last few years, with extended periods serving both the Audit Bureau of Circulation and the Marketing Association of South Africa. And Heidi is currently a board member for the Modern Marketing Association of South Africa. Welcome, Heidi, and great creds.
Thanks, Faz.
Right, so let's get into the conversation. And before we talk about the specifics of the campaign, Heidi, I think it's a real opportunity for us to probe deeper into the marketing machine that is you and the team at Hollard. How did COVID-19 impact on your organization, Heidi? And what were the core marketing challenges that you have faced during the earlier phase of lockdown? For example, were there big budget freezes? Did you actually have budget cuts? What was the impact on marketing activities? And did that actually lead to a drop in sales conversion at all?
So it's an interesting time to ask that question, because our financial year is mid-year to mid-year. So we're at the moment just finishing off our financial year, and it's been rough. It's been rough because we've been doing our job, and our job is to put people back to where they were after something bad happens, any kind of loss. So, excuse me, I got a froggy. So whether it's death or business interruption or any of the other kinds of covers that are triggered during all the various things that happen through a pandemic, that's what we've been doing. And so obviously that affects the company's performance. So it's kind of paradoxical that we're going to have a yuck financial year because we've been doing our job.
Yes.
So you know, without doubt, this has impacted us. And my CEO teases me when I just told him the brand tracker results, and when I WhatsApped him to say I've got the brand tracker results, but I'm not showing you unless you promise not to reduce my spend, because we have an incredible efficiency to our spend for reasons that we can talk about, but we spend a tiny amount of money, and we know that if we reduce it anymore, we'll just be below a threshold. But we managed to get a great ROI. So we didn't have a cut. We're staying flat, but we had to really think about what to do with it. I guess was really the challenge. Is what do you do? Do you keep going business as usual and splabbing your usual splab, or do you have to have a rethink? And we had a rethink.
That's great, but I'm glad to hear that you didn't cut either as well, because, you know, in times of crises, as we know, most marketers just slash the budgets, and when they see it falling off the precipice, then the exec get really grumpy and irate. But you know, great for holding out and pushing back in that regard.
Yeah, no, you can't do that because, and you know, I said it a million times in the last year, the friction that you have to overcome to get back in again is just enormous, and it's just a silly thing to do. So yeah.
So Heidi, just to add to Craig's question, how did you manage the marketing function of such a large brand while operating remotely, and how did the respective agencies and media partners work with you during this period? Because I can only, you know, surmise that, you know, that's one hell of a challenge to really accommodate everyone and to do it effectively.
Well, I think what we did was we just put online all the things that we were doing in real life, and used some of the foundations that we've built in order to help carry things forward. And what are those foundations? So, you know, building relationships is everything, right?
Yes.
And people do business with people, not companies. And so if you've got poor relationships with your agencies or transactional relationships with your agencies, they're going to get even worse if you can't see one another. So leveraging the good relationships that you've built is one thing. And not only those externally, but internally. How good are your connections? So, you know, like most larger organizations, we've got a matrix model, or we've got a center, and we've got business units, and we've got international businesses managing the brand. But the community that we have, our marketing community, is tight and connected. And the initiatives that we have to keep tight and connected, we just took them online, but we did it with some underlying sort of, I've got a very, very philosophical approach to how to hold meetings using Nancy Klein's 10 principles of a thinking environment, inclusivity and diversity and whatever. And so little things like making sure we still used rounds in our online meetings, that people put their cameras on, that I found a way for everybody to check in first and check out at the end, give contributions, speak. So using the foundation that we laid, and if you've got a yucky foundation, I'm trying so hard not to say shitty, if you've got poor foundations in real life, well, you're going to have a rocky place, build a rocky building in virtual, and then putting in structures. You know, my team will roll their eyes when I say, let's check in. What are you today? Red, amber, green, and of course at Hollard, if you feel fab, you're purple. But we do it every time. And those are the things you need to do. And we did a whole campaign, more than in lockdown.
Basic blocks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But the important point there is it would never have happened if you hadn't embedded those relationships and connections at the outset in the organization.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna, Kevin, that was a great question. You know, we've all sat here having to work remotely, so it was good to see that everybody lent in and really moved the business forward. Great to see that. We're going to switch into shifting the conversation to the Big Ads for Small Business campaign, and yeah, I'd love to understand what the insights were that brought this came about, Heidi, and why you launched the campaign.
Well, so where do I begin? And I wish that our listeners could see what I'm showing you. I'm showing you our little brand booklet, which talks about the Hollard brand cake. So we have a recipe book, a fresh fluff-proof brand recipe. And our brand recipe is built on the bottom layer of our brand cake. I'm pointing to it. I know you can't see it, but use your imagination.
Yeah, can you?
Is our purpose, and our purpose is to enable more people to create and secure a better future. So we don't have visions and missions, and I'm over 21, and I promise you, I still don't know the difference between a vision and a mission. A vision and a mission. I don't know the difference. So we have a purpose, and Hollards wake up every day knowing that what they do is more than just the functional aspect of their job. They wake up every day to enable more people to create and secure a better future. And in our little booklet, we've also got our brand attributes. We know we're an inclusive brand. We know we're a human brand. We know we believe that there's a better way, because Hollard was born out of the belief that there's a better way to do insurance. Now, if you know who you are and what you are, then you know what you've got to do and what you've got to say. And the gift of that is a gift that has to be shared with everybody that works on the brand. Because I talk about it takes a village to raise a brand, and our village of brand parents includes every single person in every agency, every Hollards, everybody. So everybody knows all that stuff. And we had just been running a campaign called Hello, that we ran on the 11th of every month. Was Hello Day, because Hello's got 11 in it. Not really, but if you pretend, you can imagine those two L's are 11. And Hello was a campaign also about better futures, to help people. South Africans need to see one another.
Yeah.
There's so much that distinguishes us from one another, but so much that could connect us. And we say, my better future is connected to your better future, and it starts with hello. So we ran this campaign for 11 months, helping people to say hello. And then Corona came, and we had to run a little bit longer, because we were like, our heads were spinning. Oh, what do we do? And that's when we did our little crazy how to say hello from behind a mask. And then our lead brand agency, which is VMLY now in Cape Town, got the brief to think about what do you get for our brand. And the fabulous team there, creatively led by Ryan McManus, came back, and along with our better ways to do everything and better futures purpose, said, look, there's better ways to do an ad campaign. And in the current context, in which businesses are suffering, particularly small businesses, what if we found a better way to do an ad campaign? And what if that better way was to give our advertising away? And after we stopped breathing for a few minutes, we were like, hail, that sounds like a mighty fine idea. Because it did. It takes everything about our brand and puts it into the right place. It's better ways to do things. It is being human, being inclusive, and it was like so spot on. And so that's how it was born.
That's fantastic. So yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, just starting with hello, I'm like, it's almost like people forgot.
Yeah, so I mean that ran for over a year, and it was fabulous. I mean, we've got tiny budgets. We really spent percent of the insurance spend as far as Nielsen data goes. At 2% in a hugely active, noisy
Wow.
market.
Yeah.
Insurance spends more than banking.
Yeah.
We've got to do a lot with our little bit of money. And being consistent and being on brand and being on purpose is everything to us.
So you're obviously working with a very wise and mature marketing team, and because driving purpose is a really tough task. It's for many people a new concept as well, Heidi. It's something that organizations really grapple with because they default to the mission and vision understanding. Mission in terms of describing the overall purpose of the organization, but without the understanding of what purpose intent is in the current guise of today, and vision pertaining to where the company or organization hopes to be in the future. And you can build some waffle around those things and think that the brand's going to move forward, but when you really get to understand the why, the what, and the how, only then can you move a brand forward. And it takes a lot for that to permeate across an entire organization. But it also goes to a key question, and that is, how did you sell it up into the leadership team?
So I talk about how do you make the 2% work for you? You have to do 4 things. You have to be insistent, persistent, consistent, and relentless. You also have to repeat. And when you are so sick of your story, you have to repeat it again. And that's what we do all the time with the brand. So there isn't a single executive leader who doesn't understand this purple cake recipe for the Hollard brand. There isn't a single leader who doesn't understand our purpose. So with that as a foundation, when you bring a creative concept, communication concept to the leadership team, they are listening from a point of full comprehension and having bought in and feeling passionate about the brand itself and understanding what the brand's job is. And when you have that, because you've been persistent, insistent, consistent, and relentless, and you've repeated yourself until you are just nauseated, and then you repeat it one more time, you've got a foundation and half your work is done. So your work in selling a campaign concept up, down, left, and right doesn't start when you have a new idea. It's ongoing all the time because you're laying the foundation. I suppose I'm saying the same as I was saying in the beginning. How did I keep a marketing team together? Well, the foundations were laid, and you've got to do it consistently. So when we brought the concept first to Saxon Tombela, our CEO, and actually we had 2 incredible ideas. It wasn't hard. He was like, do both. I said, give me more money. It's a big joke. But anyway, we picked the easier of the 2. And believe me, this wasn't easy. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we've done it. The second one's in our pocket. We're gonna do it next. But it wasn't hard. And then sharing it with the group Exco individually, I'm not terrified anymore because I know, presenting concepts like I was years and years ago, because I know that the foundations are built, and what feedback I'm going to have, I'm not going to present an idea that's wobbly itself, right?
Yeah.
If it's less than amazing, no one else is going to see it. I have to sift through the stuff before it goes anywhere. So by the time it gets presented, I was going to say my gut, but gut is your experience, right? My knowledge of the brand, my gut, my team's passion for it, all of that means I'm pretty sure we've got a winner before I even open the door.
Yeah, that's great. What I find quite intriguing is, my loaded question earlier around budget cuts and how you manage through all of those things is obviously when you're now presenting a campaign that is utilizing the platform that in essence your own brand probably needed to be on to, yes, you were staying relevant in all the other touch points, but at the moment where the business was flatlining, at least you were existing, you were flatlining and not falling off the edge. But your media touchpoints and platform is really the place to showcase and bring your brand back off the flat line. But yeah, you are contributing it to others, and that's a really noble cause, and that really does talk to purpose.
Yeah, and I think that you know, we Bruce Whitfield, when he first heard about this, I had a little interview with him. It was he said, yeah, I suppose business is so terrible, you might as well just give your advertising away because you don't need it. It was a great statement, question, semi-question. And I said, no, hold on, we're giving about like 80%. Hollard is still there everywhere.
Yes.
But 80-90% of all the real estate in any execution belongs to the business, small business. We're still there.
Yes.
But we're there in a low ego catalyst way, and that's in the recipe book too. That's how we do things. So we're very much still there, but we're there in a way that's hard. And it's a privilege to work on a brand or with a brand, for a brand, to serve a brand that can do that.
It's lovely.
Sorry, but one of the, because I'm just trying to follow all the questions we have here for a bit, but essentially that sort of aligns with your brand purpose, and it also has that feel good factor, and you know that sort of, as much as you're the brand doing for the brand what you're doing, you're in support of brands and you're supporting other brands, and it's sort of raising people. It's adding that value.
Absolutely. It's exactly that. And, part of our purpose, I mean, I read you the overarching idea for the listeners. I'm showing the guys that can see it, you can't. It says we enable more people to create and secure a better future. And then there's 5 by statements, how we do it. And one of them, it says, by catalyzing positive and enduring change. So the word to be a catalyst is exactly what we're doing here. We're catalyzing other people's businesses. And I tell you what's happening is that other people are feeling catalyzed by it. For example, some of our media partners have come on board. AdReach really helped us get maximum value and value add for our business partners, our small business partners. Just from seeing stuff on LinkedIn, Motion Advertising, who've got little scooter bikes for the delivery guys, came to us and said, can we partner? And another one of our little purpose ingredients is about partnering to deliver the win-win-win. It's 4 wins in this way, because Motion Ads, which is a small business, is getting some revenue in. The scooter drivers get paid for having the advertising on their bikes. Our business owners are getting coverage incredibly, and so are we. So it's a 4-way win. It's just flipping fab, really.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, yes, that's exponential. That really, really is. So Heidi, you talk about the win-win guys and the little scooters and the 4-way win. Okay. How did you actually identify which companies, small businesses, actually were given the opportunity to be presented on your platform? And and this is something that I'm sure is going to go on, and you're gonna have an inbox full with small businesses looking for the opportunity to be represented on your platform. And was it a case of segmenting certain businesses by type of touch point? Were the e-com guys only in your digital platform? Were the delivery guys only in the physical out-of-home space? Were there other brands that were only in print or on radio and things like that? How did you identify what you're going to do, which channels, which brands, and which businesses to utilize or present on those particular platforms?
Oh, that's a great, lovely question. And I'm going to start from the very beginning. So we also believe in Hollards first. So people that work at Hollard, we start with them always. We said to them, so we launch a campaign always internally first. And we said, how about this, Hollards? We're going to give our advertising away, and we want to give it to small businesses. Do you know any in your area or whatever that would benefit from such a thing. We didn't give them too much detail. So we had 292 applications from referrals from Hollards. We tried to use SMME stratification, but very difficult. So what we did was we worked with VML1, our founder, fabulous business consultancy group, and they helped us go through all those 292 applications. And there were a few kind of criteria that we looked at. First of all, it needed to be the kind of business that could be advertised above the line. Because, there was mining equipment consulting firm that really wasn't going to benefit so much by this kind of thing. Then we wanted to make sure that a business wasn't going to implode with roughly R1 million worth of advertising, because we didn't want to break them either. So from those 292, our consulting partners helped us. We also wanted to get a broad range of businesses. We wanted to be inclusive. We wanted to make sure they were represented around the country. So our top 50 were from 8 provinces and 17 industries. And then once we'd narrowed that down, then we had meet and greets, because we needed to get a vibe for these people. Now, you have to understand, this was all done in lockdown, digitally, virtually, like from start to finish. So we had meet and greets on WhatsApp, video calls, you name it, with the most unbelievable people. And eventually we identified these 12, from chicken to leather goods to garden, landscaping, to coffee. The 12, it's all on our microsite. And then the job came to try to create a media package that was relevant for that particular business. So Connie Wines, for example, Connie can distribute her wines throughout the country. Yeah. So she could go on national television, whereas William from All Things Laundry is only Soweto based. So he benefited more from local radio and print. So a media package relevant for each of those. So per agency, actually it was 13 ad campaigns, 13 media plans, because it was ours as well as theirs.
Wow.
So when I say we picked the easier one, can you imagine how hard the other campaign is that we still do?
Oh gosh, absolutely. The one you have in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So Heidi, you talk about co-branding and shared media platforms. How can marketing podcast series like ours and add value to these, or actually other small businesses that you reference?
Oh, I think amplification is everything. The other day, Mojaki Finger, who's the business owner for Thras, which is a reading, learning business, sent this gorgeous photo. It was just the most casual photo of him inside. We've got 4 bus shelters on the Hollard Mile on Oxford Road. And Mojaki was in one of the bus shelters, and he was like, a friend took a pic of him. He was like, I'm in my bus shelter. It was just mind-blowing. So he took a picture, and Joanna, who's the marketing manager, who's running this project in our team, sent it to me. And I was just so touched by it. I get a little bit weepy that I put it on LinkedIn. And I just said, isn't it so cool to see Mojaki from Thras in his bus shelter? If I tell you what that attracted in terms of a conversation and likes and whatever, I couldn't have planned it. I couldn't have planned a post like that. I don't think we realize what power we have in the mediums that we touch in terms of amplifying small businesses. I don't want to be patronizing and say for them, but with them.
Yeah.
Because I think we get so, gung-ho, blasé about what we do. The power is incredible. The little platforms these guys have got, they're speaking. Every single town hall in every business unit at Hollard features a guest speaker of one of our small businesses. Wow. Their products are being used for prizes. we had a transaction that we were busy doing with the South African Jewish Report. We decided to give all that to small businesses with them. So every week, 4 small businesses get an ad. The ability that you have as media owners, as brand owners, to share is enormous.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So on that point, I want to take a step back and go, how would you actually measure the success of this campaign? You know, particularly in light of co-branding. Is it about new client partnerships with these small businesses? Is it about, you know, bespoke product service solutions that you can develop by being this close to those organizations? Now you get to understand different aspects of their business where you can actually start working and co-creating product opportunities down the line and things like that.
So we were very clear, and Sachs, our CEO, was very clear also that what we wanted, obviously we're building our brand, and we track on our brand tracker certain attributes, and we've seen already, because we launched in Feb, our brand tracker was April, we've already seen a shift just in the small time that we've been live with this campaign. But for the businesses, our whole objective is for the businesses to grow. And so on a weekly basis, we track how their businesses are being affected positively also. So I can tell you 40 million TV impressions and 41 million, I'm not making these up, I'm reading them off a piece of paper. 41 million digital impressions and 4 million digital video views, and over 100,000 clicks to the SME websites, because we send the clicks to them. But here there's success stories like this, like Moja Chicken has opened 3 new franchises. He had 1 in the bag before he launched.
Wow.
But he's got 3 new, and he signed a deal with Capitec to install ATMs in his franchises.
Wow.
I mean, that's like, yeah. And he's got 2 other things in the pipeline that I'm not at liberty to talk about yet, but way, way cool and amazing. Connie Wines, Connie's actually the name of the owner of the wine brand. She got 2 new export contracts by Namibian clients who saw her on DSTV in Namibia. Ronewa Creations, they do the landscaping gardening. They've had a 567% increase in website visitors.
Wow.
And just landed a large contract with a complex of 145 units.
That's fantastic. That's,
yeah,
you know, so yeah, there was a cheeky question from me asking how you would prove ROI on this one, but you know, I think to steal the phrase from another financial services brand, I think it's actually priceless, to tell the honest truth at the end of the day.
You know, it's priceless because we've got a plan, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to tell you, we've got a plan to continue being a catalyst and to share, not to challenge equal or better this donation. We want to share how we've done this, open source the approach. So all these questions, I'm happy to give all the detail. We're going to launch a how-to guide, and we're going to share it with, we've got a plan to share it, to say to other brands, just look at this. Our brand is not suffering. Just think about it. Because if 1 other brand does this, or 2 other brands, can you imagine?
Yeah, that's just really plays into a point that I wanted to make, which was building on something Kevin said earlier, and I think might want to elaborate on. But really, yeah, how are you going to challenge the other major advertisers in South Africa to join you on this journey? And you know, is it only on the back of that how-to guide where you're giving your hard-earned learnings away for them to sort of, you know, reap the rewards immediately, or are you waiting to see who steps in and actually approaches you as the first follower, as opposed to the laggards who are waiting for the hard work to be done? And
you know what, it was never one of our objectives for this campaign, but as we started to button it down, I said, you know what, I want to open source this because it's so in our DNA to be catalyst. You know, Harambee Youth Accelerator was conceived in the Hollard family. We certainly don't drive it anymore at all, but there's so many things that, especially public-private partnerships, that have been catalyzed out of Hollard. Kachayobana, which is about early childhood development, also catalyzed out of Hollard, and then now lives outside of us with us as partners. So it's very much in our DNA to be low ego catalysts and to say, we're happy to have a piece of lots of pies than to want to gobble up all the pie ourselves. So whilst it wasn't an objective, and we're not going to judge ourselves on who copies us. See, there's a lot of ego in brands and brand building. Yeah. And I don't think anybody's going to want to say, we did a Me Too. So I'm not sitting here watching to see who's going to copy, because it's not in our nature as brand owners to do that.
So, Craig, I just want to add, listening to all of this, and it's not even in the line of questioning, it's like, I remember when I first had this idea about starting a show, I was like, COVID's here. How do we, I'm in a room. I'm like, how am I going to do anything from a room? Because invariably my work required me to be in front of people. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I was like, no, I can have conversations with people. And then Craig came along, and then we started doing what we're doing. And, we're already, and inevitably the show, the point of, my intention at the end of the day was, how do we add value to people's lives? And, listening to what you're saying now, I'm kind of going, this is exactly the point. Like, how do we then add value to people's lives? And, all the shows that, Craig has sort of formulated around marketing but brought leadership and, experience and customer journey and everything that we've spoken about invariably in aim of adding to people's lives and exactly what you're doing here. So, my question would be then, could we then invite a number of these small businesses to, on the show and kind of discuss some of the leadership and marketing challenges that they've been facing and help you do this, help you do more?
Definitely. That would be amazing, Kevin. I was just trying to scroll through my time hop because I thought I saw it today, but I didn't. I had the privilege 4 years ago of going to Cannes and listening to some unbelievable speakers, and one of them, and I'm going to get it wrong, I think he was the former president of Colombia, who talked about creativity in disarming the revolutionaries using creativity. And he talked about the power that we as creative people have to change conversations and to change the world. And I'm just reminded of it now because it was exactly now 4 years ago, and I think it popped up yesterday. But yes, please, just bring these people in, and they will inspire you and motivate you. Because there's nothing that needs to stop you when you're sitting at home in your small office. We shot 13 campaigns, all in lockdown. We had tiny crew on the sets. It's the first time I've ever shot anything and not been there. We managed to have feeds, and we did it all. We are so much, there's so much possibility, really, and I've seen that in the last year, and that's what I think. Thanks for this conversation, because you're reminding me of how much is possible.
Yeah, I'm hugely excited. I have to jump in with the next point here, Kevin, if you don't mind as well. There's just something that I want to ask, because the Me Too statement, sometimes the Me Too is good, and in this instance the Me Too is something really important, and I think there needs to potentially be a bit of a groundswell moment in the industry where, whether it's through ACA, AMASA, whatever the entity is, that actually a higher body that presides over the industry actually takes your blueprint and runs with this, so that it mitigates the risk of being associated as a Me Too agency, but actually maybe it's driven through the media channels, through AMASA and places like that, where you go, okay, guys, we've got this 16, 20 billion rands worth of inventory in our country on a year. What are we going to do in our industry to ensure that every single one of the top 100 brands, or top 10 brands, listed brands in the country per se, actually step into the game? Here's the blueprint for action. Let's make this a national imperative that actually drives opportunity for job creation, because one of the biggest challenges that we have in our country is we're sitting here with an anti-government who are not creating new work opportunities for the people of this country. And when you can create platforms of this nature and exponentially scale it and get other brands to work off a successful blueprint, I can tell you right now, you're going to create job opportunities out of that, Heidi.
Yeah, for sure. What a great idea to work with the industry bodies. Thanks for that. I love that. You see, conversations are really everything. You know, Little Khonola from Moja Chicken was telling us the story when he told us the story of how he'd started Moja Chicken, lockdown happened. There he was sitting in his flat and he was like, how do I keep my employees employed when I can't sell chicken? And he looked around his flat and he sold his TV stand and he sold his coffee table and he sold his whatever. And we thought, hell, just think what we can, look what he's done. Think what we can do. It's humbling, you know, and you can sit on your lovely brand pedestal and forget.
And Heidi, here's an ideal opportunity to get in touch with the industry, but actually look to maybe launch this as a national campaign at the next Lurie's Awards giving, which is imminent.
I agree. Yay.
Okay, I'll have to give Pritesh a little call.
Yeah, no, I'm being dead serious. You know, you've got a perfect platform where all eyes from a client, industry, across the entire spectrum are on a single platform. And if you can go and hijack the platform for 15 minutes to just go, guys, this is what we've done, but we're actually bringing it to you. It's our purpose to serve the nation in this industry. Here's a platform for opportunity.
I love it. I love it. Fabulous.
And I just want to add to Craig to what you're saying now. You know, because essentially when I started doing this, I was going, yeah, you know, I'm going to connect to so many people and people are going to see Kevin, and then I was like, yeah, but that's not the intention. So it's like, what is the intention at the end of the day, Kevin? Like, why are you doing this at all if you're going to be doing it? And then I was like, okay, the intention is to add value to people's lives. And then he's like, okay, that changes the whole narrative. That changes the whole conversation. That changes why we're sitting having this conversation now. And suddenly you're going, oh, look how many more people we could actually impact if we did this, because the intention comes from the right place. Yeah. And then, you know, it changes the conversation.
Yeah. But Heidi, you inspired me to go and have a look online, to just have a look at what other big brands were doing for small business. And I picked up on, guess one would say, the expected big brands, because they've firstly got platforms and big budgets to enable the kind of stuff that you're doing. But it was really good to see what these brands were doing during COVID. And I saw, you know, Google and Facebook both offered small businesses who advertised with them a relief in the form of ad credits. And here's the facts. Google allocated $340 million worth of ad credits and grants throughout 2020 for small business. That's a substantial amount of money. Facebook made $100 million available in both ad credits and cash grants to support those 30,000 small businesses across 30 countries. And also, not just being American focused in the initiative, they actually took it cross-border, which is really good. Yahoo offered free website domain and 5 email addresses for startup entrepreneurs with its #PayItForward campaign. And for me, that is really putting your money where your mouth is, because that is a platform that would have enabled every single one of those small businesses to have a digital face to a marketplace that they've never had in their past before. And that, you know, big up there. And Dell offered a 0% interest and up to 180-day payment deferrals on new equipment purchases during that period as well. And those are the initiatives that keep the wheels of those businesses turning in the early stages. So yes, they're all big global brands that I've cited, but gosh, yeah, it's important that they've made those steps, or taken those steps to move business along and help the small guys over the line. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's funny, because usually, you know, what happens with the creative zeitgeist, you get a brain idea that you're gonna use this magic wand. Sorry, listeners, you can't see that I'm flying a real magic wand in front of my face right now. It really is real. I think that we should use magic wands to sell insurance. And sure as eggs are eggs, someone somewhere else in the world has the same idea. That's what happens with this creative zeitgeist. It happens. Yes. And we get annoyed, right? We get peed off because, oh, it's my idea. Oh. You know, when we started kicking off this thing, someone sent me a note to say, oh, look, one of the other financial services institution also doing something for small business. And you have to humbly go, that's fantastic. I'm so glad. Not, oh, shucks, you know, they're stealing our thunder. I'm happy. And, you know, in a flippant high ego, just think of the advertising industry with all our awards and our marketing this and award that and league table that. Imagine if we could just get a little humble for a little while.
Yeah.
And it would be amazing.
Yeah. Very, very, very true.
Amazing. Heidi, I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do it. Craig, we need to have that conversation and see how we can make this happen. But I think it's what you're doing is, it speaks to my essence, and I'm kind of going, well, that's amazing. And the fact that you can do that, and the success stories, you know, like when you hear it, like there's actual success stories tied to this. And it's like, well, then that's the point, you know, then you did what you were aimed to do. And I must just say congratulations on that. It's such an honor to have this conversation, to have your brain even part of the conversation. Thank you. I think it was a fantastic guest to have on the show today. Thank you, Greg.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Yeah, Heidi, you know, we can continue this conversation for hours more, just around fresh ideas that come on how to amplify it and drive it deeper and further. But well done to the team. Well done to VML YNR in Cape Town as well for bringing this kind of thinking to bear. It's phenomenal, and well done to the pricelessness nature of it as well. Absolutely.
Thanks, guys, and really do. I mean, if you can amplify the brand owners, I promise you will have the most enriching conversations with the likes of Connie and William and Mojaki and all of the other brand owners, because they are remarkable.
Fantastic.
So just to close it off today, Heidi, do you have any sort of reminders or closing thoughts that you want to share with everyone listening to today's show?
Oh, I've given you so many thoughts and so many.
No pressure.
I suppose I'm just reminded of that lesson that I learned 4 years ago. It's just that the power of creativity is that we really are so blessed to be able to use creativity for good, and we must.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to add to that, because Kevin, I've made a few little scribbles here. There's just some wonderful, simple nuggets that came out of the conversation here as well. And for me, just the way you started it, Heidi, is leverage the good relationships and connections that you have both internally and externally. And that's something that goes to life as well. It's about relationships at home, with family, with friends, with the cashier, taking it back to the retail conversation of last week. When the emotional connection is there and you're able to lean into the conversation and work that connection relationship, that's the important thing for us as human beings. So keep connected, keep tight and connected in real life. That's the phrase you used. I really like that. And then obviously a lot to be learned from Nancy Klein's thinking environment. There's always value in that space. But the beauty is the cake, the recipe. Every organization does have a recipe. You know, sometimes it's a milk tart, sometimes it's a chocolate brownie, and sometimes it's a failure. You know, it's burnt at the edges. But every organization does have the recipe. Ensure that the purpose is the foundation layer of your cake in your recipe. irrespective of what the end product is, whether it's a muffin, a cookie, or a 6-layered cake. That is hugely important. And you are who you are, and you are who you are, and what you do is enabling you to know what to do. And I really like that as well. And then, insistent, persistent, consistent, and relentless. Repeat and repeat again.
Yes.
Yes, please. And something for the industry. You talk about creativity, but to encapsulate it in your phrase, open source innovation, open source creative thinking, open source making a difference that counts. All of those things really come together out of this conversation. So thank you for that. And that's it from my side, Kevin.
Fantastic. So thank you. It's Heidi Brauer. She's the brand. She calls herself the brand mama, the CMO of at Hollards Insurance. Heidi, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the insights and for being here.
Thank you. Lovely to spend time with you both.
Thank you, Craig. Just lastly, what we got lined up for next week?
Yeah, I think we definitely must see if we can pick up at least one or two of the small businesses to kick off our promise to start a broader conversation to help these small businesses with marketing thinking, some leadership thinking and things like that. It'd be really great to chat to Heidi offline and see, even if it's starting with one, and over the next few weeks, we just look at different sectors and start working on that basis. It could really be something incredibly valuable. And then we can articulate what their pain points are and bring some marketing speak and theory into the conversation to help them through that.
Absolutely. Guys, so if you want to catch it, it's every Thursday at 12 o'clock on ebrizradio.com. It's a lunchtime marketing segment. Craig, Heidi, thank you so much for today, and thank you for today's chat.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
That's now.
Okay.